The Urantia book. The Urantia book. In paper 42. Okay, in paper 42, energy, mind, and matter. The manipulation of universe energy is ever in accordance with the personal will and the all-wise mandates of the Universal Father. Energy, mind, and matter. The Universal Father is the first person of the Trinity. The first person of the Trinity. The other two members of the Trinity talked about in the Urantia book. The Urantia book are the other two members of the Trinity are the Eternal Son and the Infinite Spirit. Energy, mind, and matter. I mean, concerning the Universal Father, the first person of the Trinity, quite a few times in the foreword and around there, maybe in the first few papers and in the book, in places, they talk about the unfettered free will of the Universal Father. So, unfettered. So, the only being in existence with an unfettered free will is the first person of the Trinity. In this book, his name is the Universal Father. 42 1.1. So paper 42, section 1, Paradise Forces and Energies. Paragraph 1, the foundation of the universe is material, but the essence of life is spirit. The Father of spirits is also the ancestor of universes. The eternal Father of the original Son is also the eternity source of the original pattern, the Isle of Paradise. They say paradise itself is made of something like absolutum. They'll come up with a new word in the Urantia book, absolutum, as the material that makes up paradise, the eternal isle of light, the eternal isle, the home of the Trinity and other paradise beings in the central universe. In the Urantia book, the central universe is paradise, where the three members of the Trinity abide and other paradise beings abide, many, many, many beings. And then surrounding paradise is the central universe, and surrounding that is the evolutionary creation known as the grand universe. The Isle of Paradise. There's a tremendous amount of information in this book about all these type subjects. These are main subjects in the book. Paradise, the Isle of Paradise, the home of the deities, the Universal Father, the Eternal Son. The line there, the Universal Father is the originator, creator of the original Son. So the Urantia book says that there is a Trinity, the universe, the three members of the Trinity, the Father, Son, and Spirit. There is. Michael of Nebadon is a local universe ruler, and he bestowed himself on this planet as Jesus of Nazareth, but neither Michael of Nebadon nor Jesus of Nazareth are the second person of the Trinity. This is the Urantia book. Michael of Nebadon, Jesus of Nazareth, is the creator ruler of this particular universe, one out of 100,000 universes in this super universe. And the Urantia book calls this super universe, gives it the name Orvanton. This is what the Urantia book says. So there's a line in the book like, had the Bible author been speaking of the original son when he said things like the word was with God, et cetera, whatever the Bible line is, they restate the Bible line, and then they say in the Urantia book, had that Bible writer been talking about the eternal Son of God, he would have been correct in what he said about Jesus of Nazareth. However, he was talking about Jesus of Nazareth, so he is Jesus of Nazareth. Michael of Nebadon is not the second person of the Trinity. Paper 43, the constellations. Section 2, the constellation government. The advisory or highest body of constellation legislators consists of the House of Peers, the House of the Divine Sons. This core is chosen by the Most High Fathers and numbers 10. Only sons of special service may serve in this upper house. This is the fact-finding and time-saving group which very effectively serves both the lower divisions of the Legislative Assembly. Well, they're not saying who these divine sons are. The House of Peers, the House of the Divine Sons. So the constellation government. So spiritual government. A constellation has 100 systems in it in terms of the entire creation. So a system has 1,000 evolutionary world planets, just like Urantia. This world is called Urantia in the Urantia book, Urantia. So this is one world, one human evolutionary world. The plan for any system is 1,000 worlds, similar to Urantia, human evolutionary will beings on them, and then 100 systems would make up a constellation. So so they're talking about the spiritual government, how it's run and what it does. It's a lot of information. A lot of the terms that they use, the ways and means that they talk about, sounds very similar to how humans, evolutionary human will beings on this planet, how we do government in terms of legislative bodies, courts, etc. The terms used and the parallels are there and apparent in terms of how the spiritual government runs and how government works on this particular evolutionary will planet in terms of the legislature and houses and bodies in terms of the body of the people that are in the particular legislative assembly, things of this nature. A lot of similar sounding ideas. Well, they do mention divine sons. So I as a magisterial avonal son, born of woman, currently on this world, I could be one of these, I suppose. The advisory or highest body of constellation legislatures consists of the House of Peers, the House of the Divine Sons. So when they say divine sons, I'm pretty sure in the way they're saying it here, they're talking about descending sons, such as creator sons, Avenal magisterial sons, of which I am one, and Trinity teacher sons. So this this is a fact-finding and time-saving group which very effectively serves both the lower divisions of the Legislative Assembly. So if I, as a magisterial Avonal son, as a part of this group, which numbers 10, and if I am a son of special experience and I'm chosen for this highest body of constellation legislators, and I'm serving on there and I'm working on there, then I would be part of the 10 other divine sons that are doing fact-finding and time-saving activities to effectively serve both the lower divisions of the Legislative Assembly. I'm sure they talk in here about what the lower divisions of the Legislative Assembly is in terms of other paragraphs in this section. So, I, as a magisterial Avonal divine son, currently I'm doing what I'm doing, living a bestowal mission on Urantia. That's the name of this planet, as a man born of woman. That's what I'm currently doing. But prior to this lifetime and after my life as a human being on this world, I could do this in terms of work, in terms of being a part of this group. It doesn't say it specifically here. It might say it in here somewhere, but I would suppose that this is a rotating group of beings so a rotating group of divine sons who serve in this capacity, being of the highest body of constellation legislatures, being a member of the House of Peers, P-E-E-R-S, would be a temporary assignment, could be a very long assignment, but it would be a rotating assignment, I suppose. 43 3.8. 43 3.8, Section 3, Most Highs of Norlatiadek. Norlatiadek is the name of our constellation. Norlatiadek is the name of our constellation. So they give names for particular areas, places. Sometimes they use general terms. Sometimes they give specific names for places, locations, parts of the creation, and specific beings. They'll give specific names to sometimes. But there is still another way in which Urantia became peculiarly related to the Most Highs. The Most Highs are the Verandadek sons who run the constellations, the second highest order of beings in the local universe after the Melchizedeks. When Michael, the creator son, was on his terminal bestowal mission, since the successor of Lucifer was not in full authority in the local system, all Urantia affairs which concerned the Michael bestowal were immediately supervised by the Most Highs of Norlatiadek. So when Michael of Nebadon bestowed himself on this planet as Jesus of Nazareth, and while he was living his life, no successor to Lucifer. Lucifer is the system sovereign who was who went astray, went into rebellion, not astray. He went into rebellion against the rule of Michael of Nebadon. And so he was in rebellion, but his replacement was not in full authority of the local system. After 6-7 years, or 9 years, maybe something like that, system years, of the Lucifer rebellion, um, Elananandek, the third order of sons after Melchizedek's, Verandadek's, then Lananandek's, Elananandek by the name of Lanaforge, they do give his name, Lanaforge, was made the system ruler, system sovereign, system ruler, system, well, but not full authority. So not the full system sovereign authority, but he was placed in charge of the system. And he wasn't given full authority, I suppose, is what they're saying here. So I don't suppose that's what happened. He wasn't given full authority until after Jesus of Nazareth was crucified, died, resurrected, and other things happen in terms of Michael of Nebadon, Jesus of Nazareth. Some more time goes by, not a lot, before Lanaforge. I assume they may say it in here, they may not, but before Lanaforge was given full authority in the local system. But what they're telling us here is just a little piece of information that while Michael of Nebadon was living as Jesus of Nazareth on this sphere, on this planet, because Lanaforge was not in full authority of the local system, all Urantia affairs which concerned the Michael bestowal were supervised by the Verandadek sons of Norlatiadek, by the Verandadek sons of Norlatiadek. I believe there is three. The Most Highs of Norlatiadek would be three. There's a senior Verandadek and two assistants to that senior Verandadek per constellation. In paper 46, the local system headquarters, the first circle of the domain of the sons is occupied by the magisterial sons, such as myself, and their personal staffs. Here center all of the plans and immediate activities of the bestowal and adjudicational services of these judicial sons. The first circle of the domain of the sons is occupied by myself and my personal staff. This is in the Jerusalem circles. Jerusalem would be the name of the system capital, the Jerusalem circles. Jerusem. So here center all the plans and immediate activities of the bestowal and adjudicational services of sons such as myself, as a judicial son, as a magisterial avonal son. There in the first circle of the domain of the sons center all the plans and immediate activities for my bestowals and adjudicational services. My adjudicational services as a magisterial avonal son are judicial actions, which is the raising of the dead. That's what a judicial action is on any evolutionary sphere in Nebadon. Evolutionary human will-being planet in Nebadon. Magisterial missions where I would go to a human evolutionary world as a full-grown adult, and bestowal missions where I would go to a human evolutionary world as a baby, as a male baby born of woman, which I am currently doing now. Currently, I am on a magisterial bestowal mission on Urantia as a magisterial avonal son. So those activities, all the plans and immediate activities for that type of thing, a bestowal, such as what I'm doing now, would be a part of the first circle of the domain of the sons on Jerusalem. It is through this center that the Avenals, such as myself, of the system maintain contact with the universe. So it is through the first circle of the domain of the sons, my circle, occupied by magisterial sons such as myself. It is through this center that I maintain contact with the universe. It is through the first circle of the Jerusalem circles. It is through the first circle of the Jerusalem circles that I, as an Avono, as a magisterial son of God, maintain contact with the universe. As an Avono of the system of Satania. And an Avono of the system of Satania. That's the name of this system. So that means that I, as a magisterial Avonal son, am a part of the 1,062 of us in Nebadon, the entire universe of Nebadon, of 10,000 systems. 10,000 systems. But I personally, as a magisterial Avonal son, am assigned to one system, Satania. That's what's implied in that statement. And I believe that is true. I am assigned to Satania. On paper 43, constellations. Well, here's an interesting line. Like an actual occurrence, more of a story. Stories are more interesting than all these facts sometimes. So, oh gosh. So, since the triumph of Christ, all Norlatiadek is being cleansed of sin and rebels. Sometime before Michael's death in the flesh, the fallen Lucifer's associate, Satan, sought to attend such an Urantia conclave, but the solidification of sentiment against the arch rebels had reached the point where the doors of sympathy were so well nigh universally closed that there could be found no standing ground for the Satania adversaries. When there exists no open door for the reception of evil, there exists no opportunity for the entertainment of sin. The doors of the hearts of all Urantia closed against Satan. He was unanimously rejected by the assembled system sovereigns, and it was at this time that the Son of Man beheld Satan fall as lightning from heaven. The quote, the Bible quote, beheld Satan fall as lightning from heaven. So they say in other parts of the book, or here in this part, or somewhere here in the Urantia book, Satan went to these conclaves to represent all the fallen planets. 36 out of 619 had fallen planetary princes on them. And Satan would go as a Lanandek son. He would go to represent these planets at these conclaves on Urantia periodically. And he had the power to, up until the time of Jesus of Nazareth's life. He had the power to, because there was no sovereign in Nebadon. Michael of Nebadon had not completed his life yet as Jesus of Nazareth. So there was no sovereign in Nebadon. After Michael of Nebadon completed his life as Jesus of Nazareth, shortly thereafter, his entire life and some of his afterlife, he was made sovereign of Nebadon. But they say in this book that Satan was removed from this sphere around the times of the writings of the Urantia book. Around the times of the writings of this book, Satan was removed, put on the prison world, basically. Lucifer had already been put on the prison world after Jesus of Nazareth finished his bestowal on this world. Lucifer was interred to the prison world. They say Caligastia is still here. The planetary prince who went into rebellion, went astray, he will not be removed from this sphere until after I, as an avenal bestowal on this world, as an avenal bestowal person on this world, after I complete my mission on this world fully and completely, sometime in my afterlife, shortly into my afterlife, Caligastia will also be removed from this sphere, or he will, not also, whatever, he will also be interred. He will be removed from this sphere as a spirit being and jailed on a prison world. I believe the prison world is in the system of Satania. I believe every system has one prison world, or I think one, maybe more than one, but probably one. They call it the Father's world, I think, a prison world in Satania. And Caligastia will go to that prison world, or he will be arrested and removed from this sphere. That's certain. He will absolutely, positively be removed from this sphere once I finish my avenal bestowal as a human being born of woman on this planet. So that's how the higher spirit beings, including myself, this is how we do things in terms of what's right for everyone, what's right for all beings involved. The bottom line for much of everything that goes on is getting as many human evolutionary will beings, such as you, me, any evolutionary human will being, getting as many of us as possible to become finalitors, to go through the entire plan path to Havon in paradise, meet the Universal Father, be embraced by the Universal Father, and become a finaliter. So all these actions of arresting a higher rebel or not, and putting that off and whatever, the reasons why it would be put off, it's so that what's best for all beings, and most definitely, we don't want to see lower beings going into rebellion and being exterminated by the Ancients of Days, receiving cessation of existence, being as if they had not been, being destroyed as spirit beings. We do not want to see this. So we don't quickly arrest a Lucifer or a Satan or a Caligastia, because then many lower beings would go into rebellion too. They would just decide to. So it's a play of, how do you get as many human evolutionary will beings to go on to become finaliters and survive into eternity as possible?